Well, I hope you guys find what you're looking for in Alaska and get your feet on the ground and make a good plan for a while. We'll be fine. You're the one I'm worried about. Now hopefully you can keep the car right side up. Tyson? Yeah, I'll do my best. All right. I'll meet you down at the airplane landing strip. It all started with what looked like a crazy bet from a teenager, but that bet turned into a gold-making machine. Parker Schnabel's Alaska mine had always made good money. This time, though, he had found something totally different. This wasn't just another good piece of dirt. It was the kind of ground that could change everything. And when the dirt's this good, everything else doesn't matter. After making sure the find was real, Parker made a move nobody expected. He ordered everyone to stop working. I think we should shut the plant down, he said. That one choice started crazy rumors, especially when people heard that the treasure could be worth close to $80 million. From the beginning, Parker showed he wasn't here to live off his family's fame. He was here to make his own mark. He put up $100,000 of his own money, rented 3 miles along Gold Run, and got another mile on Sulphur Creek. This wasn't just growing bigger. This was betting his whole future. People forget how much pressure he was dealing with. He wasn't looking for just a few gold pieces. He wasn't just trying to fill his grandfather's shoes. He was going after a total so big it could make history in one of the hardest mining areas in the world. The season's starting to come to an end. It's been hard. We're way behind this season right now. It's a fight to get there. He had to be smarter and work harder than everyone. That's when he made the decision that would shape his entire season. He split his team. 2 completely separate groups. Most of them were new workers, and each team had a totally different job. One would work for the future, the other would fight to keep things going. Now it was a gamble that put his money, his reputation, and his family's name on the line. What nobody could guess was the brutal race against nature that came next. The first team became the Wolf Cut crew. Their job wasn't to find gold, it was to get ready for it. They were sent to a completely untouched piece of ground, virgin land, that had never been mined. Day after day, they fought the earth itself. Diggers clawing into the frozen top dirt, bulldozers pushing aside huge piles of stubborn dirt. Weeks could go by without a single piece of gold. And every day without gold was another day losing thousands in gas and worker pay. Their job was to remove 30 feet straight down of frozen mud. Only then could the gold dirt meet the weak northern sun. In the Yukon, time and cold weather control everything. If the ground's frozen, the washing plant can't work. If the plant can't work, no gold comes out. Meanwhile, on the other side of the land, the drift cut crew faced a totally different fight. Led by Parker's main helpers, Mitch and Tyson, they didn't have time to wait for warmer weather. They needed gold right now. Without them bringing in money, the whole operation would have to stop. They worked over every inch of their area with almost doctor-like care. Every load of dirt was checked, every sample looked at for gold. Their eyes stayed focused on the pans, looking for that faint, unmistakable shine of yellow dot. The Yukon's frozen grip made sure progress was painfully slow. The ground stayed hard, sealed by frozen earth that wouldn't give up. A short time of warmer weather might have changed everything, but the cold kept its hold, keeping the earth locked tight. That meant the crew was constantly torn between 2 hard jobs. Removing new ground and feeding the wash plant enough gold dirt to keep it running, workers were being stretched to their limits just to keep the operation going. Mining is full of weird contradictions. You can be standing just a few feet from a fortune and have no idea it's there. One test hole could show nothing but empty rocks. Move the digger just a short distance, and suddenly, the buckets come up heavy with gold. It was a high-risk version of hide-and-seek with the earth itself. Every day without results took more money from the budget. Every tank of gas burned added more pressure. The question hung over everything. Had Parker made the right choice, or was this an expensive walk toward nothing? The answer was buried deep under 30 feet of frozen ground. Stress across the entire site was stretched thin. I started my life here, and my goal is to see if there's much better ground out there that we could be mining. Parker moved constantly between the 2 crews, pushing progress on both sides. Every trip brought new updates on gas use, machine wear, worker pay demands, and the constant costs of running heavy machinery. For someone still in his teens, the weight of managing a multi-million-dollar business was huge. The new wash plant offered more room and promised higher amounts, but it was still untested this late in the season. Taking that risk was another roll of the dice, and time was not on his side. Behind the TV moments, the reality was sharp and unforgiving. He wasn't simply a miner anymore. He was working as the head of a hungry, complicated business, balanced on a financial knife's edge. Then came the breakthrough. After weeks of grinding through empty dirt, the Wolf-Cut crew finally broke into the layer they had been chasing. The gold dirt was rich, full of heavy pieces that meant a major find. The first test run through the plant proved it. Gold covered, the mats in a thick, bright layer. The same frozen ground that had been their biggest problem had just given up its treasure. Almost at the same moment, the Drift-Cut crew's patience paid off. They found a deposit large enough to pay for the operation well into the future. Suddenly, Parker's risky plan to split his crew made perfect sense. One team had secured the long-term future, and the other had covered the immediate costs. The news of the double find moved quickly through the mining community. Parker Schnabel had gone from being seen as a kid with a famous name to a rising power in the industry. He had proven his doubters wrong in amazing fashion. But mining never stops testing its players. And now the next battle was already in sight. The same machines that had brought him this far were about to turn into his biggest problem. With gold now flowing from two separate areas, Parker's mind shifted into a frantic, high-stakes production mode. This was no longer about proving the ground. It was about pulling out as much wealth as possible before the season ended. By now, Parker had years of experience under his belt. He focused on a massive deposit he believed could change everything for his crew. The kind of find that could make every main member wealthy beyond their dreams. But gold mining has a cruel rhythm. The moment one problem is beaten, another rises, usually bigger and nastier than the last. This time, the threat wasn't the ground. It was their own machines. The old wash plant that had been the backbone of the operation was on borrowed time. Breakdowns had become normal, and the constant quick fixes were only delaying the unavoidable. To keep dirt moving, Parker had been forced to bring in a rented plant. It kept production alive, but it was a shaky solution. Rented machines often come with a history, old parts, poor care, and a habit of breaking down when the clock is ticking. And now, to make matters worse, Parker's top mechanic and foreman, Mitch, was away from sight. Without him, the crew was short-handed during one of the most important phases of the season. The long-term plan depended on getting their own custom-built wash plant, a towering red monster nicknamed Big Red. Parker's ready to unleash his new million-dollar wash plant, put together and running. It wasn't just a machine. It was the key to keeping their gold targets within reach. Getting Big Red working was a job measured in sweat and precision. Every section had to be moved into place like giant puzzle pieces, each weighing several tons. The crew worked in the cold, guiding steel into position with chains, cranes, and diggers. One heart-stopping moment came when the tailings conveyor, a massive metal tube, had to be swung into its exact mounting point. One slip and it could have crushed equipment, or worse, destroyed a multi-million-dollar plant before it processed a single yard of dirt. Days of careful assembly followed. Bit by bit, the beast took shape. When it finally stood ready, Parker made a move that showed exactly how high the stakes had become. He shut down the section of ground that had been producing gold. Gates were locked. The area was sealed off, cutting away distractions and potential prying eyes. This was about protecting the discovery and focusing every ounce of manpower on pulling as much gold from it as possible. 2 years after the initial setup, the site had grown into a full industrial operation. Nearly a mile of ground had been stripped and prepared. The goal was simple and aggressive: an ounce of gold for every hour. The plants ran. The first win came close to that target, 13.8 ounces. Not quite the mark, but still worth over $23,000. It was proof that the ground had serious potential. For Parker, the real prize wasn't just in hitting weekly numbers. It was in finding the next ground that could sustain a large-scale operation. For years to come, if this cut could deliver another 20 or 30,000 ounces, it would be a game-changer. As production ramped up, so did the problems. The more hours the machines ran, the more they fought back. Breakdowns became part of the daily grind, but the gold totals kept climbing all the same. Soon, the numbers were staggering. One cleanup produced 3 pans so heavy with gold that they were difficult to lift another day. The crew pulled in an incredible 253.8 ounces, over $820,000 in just 24 hours. By mid-season, they had already banked 7,381 ounces. Parker, known for backing his crew, decided it was time to show it. Each main member received a bonus unlike anything the local mining community had seen. $122,000 in raw gold. It was a statement. This was a team win, and everyone shared in it. But mining never stays perfect for long. Rocks began choking the systems. A brand new screen inside Big Red tore open, letting oversized rocks flood into areas they didn't belong. Each jam risked more than the lost time. Gold could be slipping. Through with every choke-up, repairs were made, and Big Red was back in action. Its first full cleanup after the fix brought in 51.6 ounces, worth about $90,000, a strong start. But the real surprise came from their other wash plant, Sluifer. That machine delivered an impressive 210 ounces. And then came its final massive cleanout. The crew gathered as the scale ticked upward, ounce by ounce. The numbers kept climbing until they landed at 360.5 ounces, nearly $600,000 in gold from their second-best plant. Parker's operation wasn't just surviving the season. It was thriving, hitting numbers few miners ever see in their careers. But the season was far from over, and the Yukon had a way of reminding even the most successful crews, nothing is guaranteed. As winter comes down on the Yukon, Parker Schnabel finds himself in an unfamiliar position. The season's starting to come to an end. It's been hard. We're way behind the season right now. It's a fight. It's only going to get worse. That moment marked a turning point for Parker. It was the push that sealed his decision to close his mine to outsiders permanently. The $14 million haul they pulled that year had been splashed across headlines. A season total so big it smashed records and turned heads across the mining world. When the final tally came in at 77,381 ounces, even the crew could barely believe it. The numbers didn't just break records. They set the stage for the years ahead. Parker made it clear his crew had secured their future and that every single one of them had a place waiting for them next season. What the public never saw was that this jaw-dropping payout was only scratching the surface. Behind closed gates, Parker had quietly brought in earth scientists and survey teams. Their findings confirmed something few miners ever dream of. This wasn't just a rich streak. He had uncovered the mother lode. Buried deep in his ground was the remains of an ancient waterfall system. For millions of years, erosion had been funneling gold into a hidden trap, concentrating it into one of the richest deposits the Klondike had ever seen. The $14 million from that season suddenly looked small. Estimates for the full value of what lay beneath came in at $80 million. Locking the gates wasn't just about guarding the gains from a good year. It was about protecting a once-in-a-lifetime fortune, a secret so valuable it could ignite rivalries and reshape the entire region. Parker knew exactly what he was sitting on, and he wasn't about to let anyone else near it. On the surface, the story of Parker and his crew pulling $14 million out of the ground was one of pure triumph. It played perfectly for audiences. But with a hit show like Gold Rush, what you see on screen is never the complete story in online forums. Fans pore over every frame of every episode. Their deep-dive discussions have sparked some wild theories about what's really happening once the cameras switch off. The news of the $80 million deposit only poured gasoline on those whispers. One of the most talked-about theories revolves around something viewers call the producer's gold dot in television. The drama of hitting a season goal is just as valuable as the gold itself. The idea goes that if a crew falls just short of their target, the producers might quietly make up the difference to ensure a perfect finale. According to the theory, a small top-up at the last win could transform a good season into a legendary one for viewers. It's an accusation that raises eyebrows, leaving some fans to wonder if every ounce shown on the scale truly came from the ground that year. But that's only one of the rabbit holes fans explore. Another digs into Parker's land. Deals. Much of his most productive ground is leased from mining veteran Tony Beets. The arrangement is presented on the show as a straightforward royalty deal, with Parker paying Tony a cut of the gold he recovers. However, fans speculate there's more to it than meets the eye. They question whether hidden clauses exist, bonuses for exceeding certain totals, penalties for falling short, or even royalty rates that spike so high that it becomes a battle to stay profitable. Some believe that the tension between Parker and Tony, a staple of the show, is more performance than reality. They suspect the rivalry is crafted for the cameras, while both quietly benefit from a mutually profitable agreement. Then came the property twist, when a neighboring claim owner approached Parker with an offer to sell. Talks moved quickly. Before long, Parker had secured the deal and added even more ground to his control. For fans, it sparked a fresh round of theories. Was Parker buying simply to expand his operation, or was he strategically locking down every possible piece of land connected to that hidden waterfall system? Closing the gates on millions of dollars worth of gold might have kept competitors out. But for the most dedicated followers, it raised another possibility. Maybe Parker was hiding something even bigger from the world.